So, hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody out there in the virtual world. We're here with another edition of the Great Good Place News. We've got a couple of book recommendations today that Kathleen wants to chat about. So, why don't you go ahead and get started, Kathleen?
So first, I'm going to start with "In 5 Years" by Rebecca Searle, and it's a story of Danny Cohen, and she's a total control freak. She's got her whole life planned out, and one night she goes to bed and she wakes up briefly 5 years in her future, and she sees an entirely different life. So what she has to do is decide whether she's going to follow the path that leads to the dream the time she saw, or if she's going to still be, her controlling self. So it's really fun because it starts with her she's got her whole life mapped out, and all of a sudden she's thrown a total wrench. So I really think it's a great escape book for this time. And my favorite escape book of this season is the Roxy Letters. And I like to think of it as, the old Calgon saying, Calgon, take me away. I like to say, Roxy, take me away. This is Roxy. She's living in the coolest city in America. She's Austin, Texas, of course, where it's, very proud of being weird. And she is an artist who can no longer create art. She's unlucky, very unlucky in love. And she has a go nowhere job at the local Whole Foods. And her boss is a total ass. Whoops. And,
Yeah, we've got to keep this PG, Kathleen.
he's a total weenie. Is that better?
I don't know that was much better.
He's not a good guy. But he's, and then she lives next door to a bunch of crackheads. So, in order to make sense of her life, she decides to start writing her ex boyfriend letters. And she writes some letters about all her misadventures and all the screw ups, and every misstep she takes, she puts in these letters. I call it a Bridget Jones for the new millennium with a lot more, it's a lot funnier, I think. But I highly recommend, and it's a novel by Mary Pauline Lowry. It's her debut novel. And she is a bookseller at Book People in Austin, Texas. So she's one of our own. So we especially want to promote her for that. But it's just such a great read.
Wonderful. Awesome. The other thing we want to remind people about is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We're going to be doing a Zoom chat. The details are on both our Facebook page and on our website at ggpbooks.com with the Zoom login information. The book we're doing for that is Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. And do you want to talk a little bit about that book, Kathleen, to give it a little teaser here?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's one of the most beautifully written books that I've read I'm listening to it. Um, his He's a poet, so he's got such a command of the language, and he's telling a story from the point of view of a child who is the son of an Amerasian woman who was fathered during the Vietnam War by a soldier when her mother was a prostitute. And it's got a lot of racial tensions in it. It's got a lot of questions about identity. It is, and the writing is so simple but so elegant and beautiful that you don't know what he's going to string together next because it's all unexpected. And he just is a gorgeous writer. So I think there's going to be a lot to discuss. And we have been having so much fun with these chats. So if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, and if you just start listening to it, you're welcome. We do sometimes have spoilers, so I'm just going to give you that fair warning. But it is such a beautiful book, and I highly recommend. I actually am enjoying listening to it because the author himself is reading it. So I've really been enjoying it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it is not an easy read, but it's a beautiful read.
The one of the things we're doing during these book chats for people who don't know is that we have been playing some samples from the audiobook, so you'll get a chance to hear that. Um, and the other thing that we were able to do last time, I suspect we'll be able to do it tomorrow night as well, is we found some uh, interviews with authors. So last week we did Circe, and we showed a little segment from a PBS News interview of Madeline Miller, and that was just super interesting to see. So even if you haven't read the book yet, but if it sounds at all interesting, highly encourage logging in, and we will telegraph when we're going to get into a little bit more spoiler section. So if you want to join but don't want to be spoiled, we'll try to structure it so that the first part at least is just the intro part, and then if you want to preserve more about the book, I still highly encourage you to join for the earlier part of the meeting.
Well, I'm going to say that though I usually prefer to read books, I'm really enjoying the audiobook in this. And it's a very short, it's only 7.5 hours, which for an audiobook is really not long at all. And he reads it himself, so it's absolutely gorgeous. And he knows exactly what he wants to say. So it's a totally different experience when you're listening to the author read it.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for this edition of the Great Good Place News. Thanks very much, Kathleen.
Thanks, Mike. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye.